circle of rat back and I'm going and leaving tracks and mourning. And I don't give a crap whether you streaming, you torrent this. You can try to contest, but you'll be needing an army. Beat them in Normandy, current rappers eat to the warning stone.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This your boy MagMongoSlade. Please hit the like button and on your way in the door. So let's talk about NXT, which was, it was very good. I am so glad NXT bounced back. Of course, it's not going to be like this every week. They had 2 huge angles on this show. And it can't be like this every week. But by God, it's good enough, okay? This is really good here. We start the show with William Regal in the ring, just burnt out. He's burnt. He just cannot handle it anymore. Too much bedlam. Too much chaos. It's out of control. And he's saying, look, I don't have it anymore. I'm done. You know, I just don't have it in me anymore to deal with these animals that are floating around that Triple H is bringing into this company. There's animals around here. And here comes Karrion Kross. And he's thrilled with himself. And if you look at Karrion Kross, if you just be honest, when he stood flat-footed toe-to-toe with William Regal, he wasn't that much bigger than William Regal. That should tell you and William Regal's never been seen as being a huge wrestler, right? But Karrion Kross wasn't much bigger than William Regal. But Kross, was like, hey, I can control this place with chaos and violence. You're going to leave it to me. You're going to take your ass out of here. And I'm going to take over. And he was like, oh, and then, Samoa Joe comes out. And everybody's like, oh, even though you knew he was going to come in out there anyway. It was still like, oh, because it was timed perfectly. And Joe, comes in there. He's being very stalwart. He's like, Mr. Regal, I heard you wanted to speak with me, Mr. Regal. And of course, they go through this whole thing where William Regal is like, look, I just want to leave. I'm going to leave NXT in your hands. And Samoa Joe was like, no, thank you, Mr. Regal. I'd rather not. And from there, we kind of get some back and forth. Kross and Joe are giving each other the eye. It's like, the OK Corral, where you're trying to see which one of these gunslingers is going to throw the first punch. And so William Regal was like, okay, I wanted to make you the general manager. You're not going to take the job. So then Samoa Joe suggests that he just basically be William Regal's fist, that he's going to be the sheriff. And he's going to, set things right in NXT. When guys are getting out of control, they're going to have a conversation with Samoa Joe. And, William Regal said, okay, but you can't be a competitor. And you can't put your hands on anybody unless provoked. And Joe was like, yes. Yes, indeed. So at that point, Kross and Joe were face to face, and Kross backed down. It was great. It was a great segment. This was an epic segment. The emotion that William Regal had about talking about NXT at the beginning legit draws you in. It's like a crocodile, or alligator's crocodile, same thing. It's like, when the jaws snap, you're just trapped. When I saw the tears in his eyes, and they were literal tears, and not just him speaking sad, but literal tears in his eyes. I was, the crocodile's jaws had closed shut, and I was in. I fully expected him to step down and for Samoa Joe to take over. And I was cool with that, Of course, I love William Regal as much as everybody else, but I was cool with him, because I knew he wasn't just gonna, disappear and go off and die somewhere. But I figured he might, be a backstage producer, take more hands-on creatively or something like that, training. But when Joe came out, when Kross came out, I kind of saw the angle coming. I was like, okay. He's not coming unless it's going to be an angle. So that was big. And I like that Cross had been pretty much on the fence between babyface and heel for a long time. Like I said before, he was sort of the anti-hero when he had 3 other heels in that 5-way match. You have Gargano's in there, he's a heel. Cole is in there, he's a heel. And Pete Dunne is a heel. And so you got these guys, and they're all just, then you got Cross, and then you got Kyle O'Reilly. And it's like, they're all beating up Cross. They're all jumping him from behind and everything. So it felt good for them to finally plant Cross as a heel and say, Cross is the top heel. There is no second top heel. There is no waffling anti-hero where he fights good guys one minute, fights bad guys the next. He is the heel. He is the top heel, and he is the alpha male of NXT. That was necessary. Okay. Now, once Joe came out there, I was like, okay. Now, I liked what they did. And I liked the segments following which, where Joe is basically William Regal's leg breaker. It's like being in the mob. He's gonna start collecting debts. This shit is great. Now, before I get too deep into NXT, of course, the question is going to be, should Samoa Joe wrestle? And I think they have enough time between now and the SummerSlam takeover that if they want to see if Samoa Joe can go, they got a month and a half or something like that, where they can build up something. And I think Cross needs the match with Joe, personally. I think he needs it. And I'm going to piss people off by saying that he needs to beat him. Okay, so they need to have the match. Now, of course, if Joe were to fight and lower himself, now that would be the case. He would have to lower himself into fighting in a match. He would have to win it. Because if he loses, then he loses his authority over everybody, as being the big bull of the woods. But the fight still has to happen at some point. Because you can't have 2 alpha males on the brand. So they did a good job of sort of establishing that Samoa Joe is probably going to be the alpha male on NXT. I just would have preferred if they would have fought for it. And Joe would have just beat him and set that standard. But of course, if they would have had a match, I would have preferred if Cross won. Because, Cross has to, like he said, he punched a hole in the Mount Rushmore of NXT. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with him continuing to punch holes in Mount Rushmore of NXT. Revolutionize that bitch again and again and again. But I'm okay with what took place. Cross backing down was a little out of character for him, but it makes sense. Be tactical. If he's gonna provoke Joe, you don't need to do it face to face. You could do it taking from behind or something like that. Now, throughout the night, Samoa Joe had to get his hands dirty, because for one reason or another, Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole were snarling at each other like wild dogs later in the show. Then, William Regal set up their match for Great American Bash in 3 weeks. So I guess that means that Adam Cole's going to at least be on the roster for 3 more weeks. That match should be loser leaves NXT. If they really want to pop a rating, loser leaves NXT, and that's the main event. But they set up the match for Great American Bash. They kept trying to fight each other, and they were snarling so much I didn't really hear what William Regal said. I think next week they're both going to have matches. So from there, Joe tried to break everybody up, and then I think Adam Cole shoved him or something, and Joe choked out Joe choked out Adam Cole. It was great. He didn't punch him. He didn't throw any punches. He just grabbed him and slapped him. Like, that was excellent. And it set the standard for what Samoa Joe, what his business is around there. Like, he already took care of the Cross problem. Now Adam Cole want to be a headache. He took care of him too. Now, later in the show, Johnny Gargano comes in there. He's dancing and prancing, and him and Austin Theory are kissing ass about how great it is, and they're chanting for Samoa Joe, and Joe kicks them out of the office, tells them to beat it, and of course they leave. And then Joe gets in a stare down with Pete Dunne, who just shows up to stare. Of course, Pete Dunne's whole gimmick is, I'm the baddest man in NXT. So now he can't be that anymore because not only because Cross whooped his ass and just, that weekend, but you also have Samoa Joe stalking the woods now. And it's not very healthy for Mr. Pete Dunne, who is the smallest of the three, to be going around talking about how bad he is. But I like the teases. Like, they kept teasing Joe fighting all of these guys. They're teasing the matches. And I think we're probably going to end up getting the matches eventually. If he can work. If he can work, I think he'll end up getting the matches. But even if he can't work, I still like the idea of Samoa Joe as being the heavy, the leg breaker, the guardian of William Regal, to keep these guys in control. He is the, oh shit, wait, I'm trying not to, he's like a prison guard, like get Samoa Joe, like the big boss man, like you serving hard time, you in there with Samoa Joe. Get him a blue shirt, a nightstick, and one of them SWAT vests. I love it. That shit is excellent, bro. That's excellent business right there, man. Like this Samoa Joe thing, but the William Regal, of course, carried it. They pump faked us with the William Regal retirement, even brought real tears out, and I loved it. I loved every second of that. Cross is really good. Scarlett's facial expressions really sold it. It was great, 100% great. I loved it. So because I don't have to go in order, let's go into the second awesome thing that took place on NXT. The coronation of LA Knight as the $1 Million Champion. So Ted DiBiase is out there, and the $1 Million title is in it's kind of like in a briefcase or something like that. And we get a little vignette of LA Knight and all of his achievements and him winning the $1 Million title. And he shows up in a white Corvette. I'm pretty sure it was a Corvette. I don't know cars, but I think I saw the flags, and I think the flags means Corvette. Anyway, he comes out and he got the big long DDP cigar, and everything's going swimmingly up to this point. LA Knight comes in, they shake hands. He cuts this promo about how when he used to watch wrestling with his dad, how much he loved Ted DiBiase, and he had the action figures. And I'm like, of course, he's about to turn heel. Like, he's really about to turn on Ted DiBiase at this point. And I'm like, okay, he's about to, pull a Shane Douglas, and throw it down or something. But he goes on about, how, gratitude and, appreciation. And Ted DiBiase gives him the actual physical $1 Million championship, places it on his shoulder. LA Knight's like, wow, like, look at this thing, like, wow. Then the pyro is going up, the cheap pyro. I'm like, cheap? $1 Million Man is involved in a cheap pyro segment, which was bullshit and exposing the business. So they do the laugh. They laughing together, like, ha, 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 ha. And then, LA Knight looks at this and he says, man, like, I got everything that I ever wanted. Now it's time to get rid of things that I don't need. And I thought he was going to throw the belt down. But man, oh man, when he punched Ted DiBiase, I literally stood up and was like, what the fuck? Like, literally, what the fuck? I didn't know Ted could take a bump. I literally thought they were handling Ted with such kid gloves up to this point where I didn't even see him walk upstairs. Like, every time you saw Ted DiBiase, he was standing where he was supposed to be, and he maybe took a couple of steps. I could not imagine at Ted I didn't see him walk upstairs, so I didn't imagine he was ever going to take a bump. And LA Knight just waffled him. Good punch, too. It looked good. And Ted took a great bump. And then LA Knight just went full asshole heel on him, kicking him, saying that I'm the holder of the $1 Million Championship. It's mine. It's mine now. He's kicking him. And I was like, holy shit. And then the place erupted when Cameron Grimes came out there. I was like, holy shit. Holy shit. These motherfuckers then did it. Now, I said before, and I maintain that Ted DiBiase should never be a babyface. It's the character is just too strong. It's like when people try to turn Lucifer babyface. You know, like it doesn't work. But in this context, you stopped seeing Ted DiBiase as the $1 Million Man. You started seeing him as an elder statesman. You know, you started seeing him as like a grandpa that's just getting beat up by this guy. And from that perspective, it worked. Like, it's just, and plus he hadn't been quite dastardly Ted DiBiase in a long time. But this was fabulous. This was excellent. This was, to me, this was my shit. This was the segment of the night. Just a rabbit's whisker more than the William Regal segment. Mainly because I did not expect Ted DiBiase to take a bump. I did not see that coming. I could say I saw the heel turn coming. Even though he was already a heel. I saw the turn coming. Because, you know, he's fattening up the pig for the slaughter during the promo. Talking about how much, you know, he had the action figures and the wrestling buddy. And I watched you on cartoons and all that shit, right? Like, he's really, you know, got his face in his lap. So, obviously, he's about to turn on him. But then after, you know, I could not have imagined. And it's crazy what you can do with one bump. How one bump can make or break something. You know, this is what, you know, I'm not going to mention that. But this meant something. You know, Ted only had to take one bump to get the reaction that they got. One bump. Because nobody expected it. And you know what? They got me. The crocodile, I put my hand in that crocodile's mouth again and they got me. Twice on one show. All right. Best episode of NXT in a long time. Especially when it's nothing to do with work rate stuff. Because NXT is usually pretty good when it comes to work rate. This show was great because of the two fantastic segments that they put on this show. And it was tremendous. And Cameron Grimes is a full-on babyface. I mean, it was inevitable. Because people have been so positive towards the Big Money Grimes gimmick that obviously he was going to end up being the star. So I'm cool with this. This was all wonderful. This is all beautiful. I don't want, and because it's not Raw, they're not going to be fighting next week, you know, in a match for no reason. You know, the next match is probably going to be at Great American Bash. It's probably in 3 weeks, you know, and it'll probably be the $1 Million Championship on the line, even though it probably shouldn't be. But I'm definitely looking forward to this. I'm definitely looking forward to more LA Knight promos with the $1 Million Championship and Cameron Grimes taking up for the honor of Ted DiBiase, who is, you know, still the $1 Million Man, but now is more kindly old grandpa than dastardly money grubbing heel. This is all tremendous. This is all very tremendous. I can't say enough good things about it, you know, and it says a lot. And I still think if they would have did it the way that I envisioned, it might have gotten the same reaction, but it certainly wouldn't have got the same reaction. But I think people would have been like, oh, and then people would have been like, damn, why you go through all that just to throw the belt down? But that's the question anyway. That was the whole thing with Shane Douglas is, you know, why did he go through this whole tournament just not to have the belt? But that's what I expected. And the way he was looking at the belt and the way the camera angle was, you know, holding it because it was kind of like on the mat, I expected him to like throw it down or something like that. But I was very happy with what they did. And my notes turned into absolute chicken scratch. And I have pretty good handwriting. But my notes became chicken scratch after that. Because I was like, holy shit. I couldn't believe what I was writing. So, this episode of NXT was fantastic. And I really could stop there and say I talked about NXT. I talked about everything. But I didn't because there were some pretty good matches on the show. The first one wasn't a great match. Imperium versus Breezango. Tyler Breeze won with a small package. Imperium have a mission to beat down all the clowns in NXT, and they lose their first match. We got to do something about this. I think Walter maybe tweeted something. I think he might be coming to town You know, maybe for a Great American Bash, that sounds like it'd be a fun time, wouldn't it? But Imperium beat them down afterwards and covered them in the Imperium banner. Oh, covered Tyler Breeze in the Imperium banner. I've seen that before. Santos Escobar swore vengeance on Bronson Reed and said he's going to get Bronson Reed one-on-one. I don't know, man. I love Santos Escobar. I was talking about him on Twitter. And I try not to do comparisons because it always just offends people. And plus, I think like sometimes the comparisons are unfair. I did see so many people talk about how he's so much better than Andrade. And I was like, he is what they wanted Alberto Del Rio to be. You know, Andrade's English is not good enough. Del Rio's English wasn't really all that good either. But Santos Escobar's English is really good. His Spanish is really good. And his character is tight. You know, because it's him. You know, he's playing the son of a Mexican wrestling legend. You know, which is what he is. So, I mean, at that point, you know, he's not really acting. So this is great. I'm not thrilled about the Santos Escobar Bronson Reed thing, especially since I know he's not going to win the title. I guess they're just kicking the can down the road because now Ray is trapped in with this thing with Roman, which is cool. Whatever. He's going to be wrestling Rey Mysterio. It's coming. They're probably going to shake it up at the draft. Maybe they'll do something for the draft. Kushida wrestled and defeated Trey Baxter, who was really Blake Christian. Well, his former name was Blake Christian. This match was pretty fucking good, and they gave Christian a lot of offense. Oddly enough, Kushida was 3-0 against those ropes. He could not get over those top ropes for nothing in the world. You probably couldn't pay Kushida to get over the top rope at that point. But they gave Trey Baxter, enough offense to make him look legit. And it was basically booked like an indie match. You know, the guy who's going to lose gets all the offense in, and then you turn it on him at the end. I did like the finish, though, with the arm breaker from the top rope into the hoverboard lock by Kushida. Kyle O'Reilly was watching outside the ring. And then after Kushida wins, Kyle O'Reilly says, hey, look, I'm not in here to answer your challenge. I'm here to propose a challenge of my own. You know, I want to fight the best. You want to fight the best. You know, how about you and me next week? And I was like, yes, I'm down. Work rate, you know. I'm not always about the work rate, but sometimes I am. And on this instance, I am. Because I'm a huge fan of Kushida. And Kyle O'Reilly might have the personality of maple syrup, but he's a pretty good worker. And the question now is Kyle O'Reilly going into the cruiserweight division? He would be a nice little shark for the cruiserweight division. And I'm all for them actually doing something different with that division, especially since he's not going to get the NXT title. Then why not, you know, wrestle for the cruiserweight belt? But I don't think that they respect the cruiserweight title enough. You know, I don't think they have enough respect on it to give it to or have Kyle O'Reilly actually wrestle for it. I think the match next week is going to be non-title, which is why I expect Kyle O'Reilly to win. But I think this should be the feud for the cruiserweight belt. You know, I like the idea of Kushida wrestling all of the little guys that they brought in recently. You know, he wrestled Christian Casanova, who is now Carmelo Hayes. He wrestled Trey Baxter. I guess he's going to wrestle Alex Zane, who is now Ari Sterling. He's probably going to wrestle that guy. Probably some of the other guys that they brought in a long time ago. Probably wrestle all those guys. But I'm 100% cool. Like if they wanted to shift the title from Kushida to Kyle O'Reilly, you know, and then just continue this same open challenge thing. That's pretty dope. I like the idea. I love it. Frankie Monet said that she's going to wrestle next week. She's going to have a quote unquote encore performance. How do you have an encore like 4 weeks after the fact? Anyway, now she's trying to recruit Aaliyah and Jesse Kamea. So she's trying to form a stable. And she's trying to boot Robert Stone out of his own stable by saying, oh, yeah, you girls had it. You girls had it. You girls were doing good. And then Robert Stone screwed it up. And then she being fake when Robert Stone showed up. She's like, oh, we were just telling everybody how good you were, how nice you look, and all that stuff. And Robert Stone's just getting such a short end of the stick because he's not bad. You know, as far as being a manager is concerned, he looks like a slimy manager. He's just underutilized. You know, I would have loved for him to be like Taya. I would have loved for him to be the manager of Frankie Monet. You know, for him to join her stable, or for her to join his stable, and sort of, you know, book her matches for her, and the other girls are basically like her flunkies. You know, like that could have been like a sweet thing. Like they doing her makeup and they're walking her dog for her and all that kind of stuff. Like, because they would add character for them, and obviously they can feud and all that kind of stuff later. But also because I think the Frankie Monet character fits what Robert Stone is looking for. And like I like the idea of her supplanting and kicking him out, and then him maybe finding new girls. That's fine, but I just have a feeling that if he gets kicked out of this group, he's done. You know, he's not gonna do anything else. But that's unfortunate. Let's see. Mercedes Martinez wants to fight Xia Li again, which is cool. Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, they want the tag team championships, and they wrestled Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter. And this match was actually quite fun. You know, they gave a lot of offense to the Lollipop Guild. They gave them a lot of offense. And I was actually, as I was looking at the NXT women's tag team titles, I was kind of wondering, like, where the hell did they go? And, you know, lo and behold, here they are. So Casey and Caden are pretty smooth. And Caden Carter is still very, very cute. Dakota Kai wins by pinning Casey Catanzaro with the detonation kick. It was pretty cool. Io Shirai came out there and didn't really get to say much. Her English isn't very good anyway. But she ended up getting jumped by Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Indy is pretty angry after the whole Dexter Lumis thing. For a second there, they were actually having Io fight them both off, which it made me frown. I don't like when people make their own comebacks. Like, I'm cool. Like, for starters, Io Shirai is very small. You know, she's a little small to make her own comeback. Of course, we knew somebody would come out there and help her. It was only a matter of who it was going to be. And once she was about to get put through a table, it was Zoe Stark who came out there to make the save. Now, naturally, I thought it would be Sarai. And you'd be like, oh, that's racist. The Japanese got to be partners. Yes, that's what I thought. I thought maybe she had hooked up with a new Japanese. Like, you know, why not? Like, I don't know what she got in common with Zoe Stark. So they got in common. But I guess we'll find out. I guess it's respect. So I guess we'll find out. I don't know. Like, I thought that maybe Zoe Stark and Zeta Ramir would have been partners. I think they weren't their partners once before. But I'm cool with Io Shirai going into the tag team division. It's something new for her, something different. Zoe Stark deserves a push because she's actually been very good. Still needs a personality. You know, it's not too late to go back to what I was saying about her wearing like 1980s workout gear. Because that Zoe Stark type name is 1980s as hell. And the font in her ring entrance and all that stuff is very 80s. She can go back and get some Zubais and, you know, go out there and do it. Get them socks that ball up at the ankle with some white shoes and dress like one of the Body Donnas. It's not too late. And the main event of the show was Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa versus the Grizzly Young Veterans, which was so much better than it had any right to be. You would think a tornado tag team match would be kind of like, most tag team matches these days are tornado tag because people barely make tags. But this match fucking ruled. This was a worthy main event. These four dudes went in there and they put in work. They dropped work. A perfect cherry on the top, a perfect work rate cherry on the top of this show. This show delivered. You know, I love the Grizzly Young Veterans. I now understand that they will never be the NXT Tag Team Champions. It's never going to happen. Mustache Mountain got to do it, but Grizzly Young Veterans not going to get to do it. That sucks. Or unless they're just going to be waiting forever. You know, maybe one day they'll get them from Ciampa and Thatcher. But for 4 tough dudes went in there, man, and did their thing. I love that match. The match was very good. I'll probably watch it again some other later tomorrow or something. I don't know when you'll be listening to this, so I shouldn't say stuff like tomorrow. But whenever you heard this, I'll probably listen to it again. I watched it again by now. But this NXT episode was fantastic. I enjoyed 95% of the show. There are certain things I didn't really care for, like Breezango. Wasn't a lot of Breezango, but it was enough to just say, man, what a downer. After such a hot opening, we got Breezango, and then they win. So I was like, ugh. But it's like getting one question wrong on a 100 question quiz. You know, it's like you get one question wrong, you get like a 95. You know, so there it is. You know, I love this episode of NXT. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for your time, and I'll talk to you guys later.